Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing on this stupendous Thursday evening in my neck of the woods? It is unseasonably warm in your earbuds. It is about to get unseasonably warm because me and Steel Flyers are here to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers for the next 90 minutes to 2 hours to 5 hours to however long I feel like doing this. How you doing, Steel Flyers?
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm doing fantabulous as you are, man, for sure. Because listen, if y'all didn't get a chance to swing on over to the YouTube channel and check out Star's great show about the previous game, then shame on you, because you need to get on over there.
Shame. If you haven't watched the show yet, I'm going to have Naji Harris cut a post-game promo on you in the locker room that is going to get you so fired.
You know.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen.
Angry on you.
Listen, angry run 2 weeks in a row. I don't think they officially awarded it to Naji yet, but they're gonna. We love this run game right now. It's cooking, and I had to show a little love. I wore the classic block number.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it.
Block number double deuce for Naji Harris, who people continue every year in September and October to tell me is not a good running back. And every November and December, he is somehow again healthy, and he is somehow running dudes over. And this year, you all got to say thanks to him, because honestly, I truthfully believe his post-game comments were the straw that broke the camel's back for Matt Canada's tenure as OC. And, I, for one, it's a week after Thanksgiving, I'm still thankful to Naji Harris.
I am too. And look, I'm going to say this. Do you realize now what's happened here with the Pittsburgh Steelers now? The fact that Matt Canada got fired. Okay. And one of the best things that I love about this was the way that the players handled it in the media. Yeah. I was very impressed with how the players handled things in the media, because all Naji had to do was sit there and just smile and not say a word, and that spoke volumes.
Volumes.
Right?
Yeah.
Volumes, right? This is what I'm trying to get to. This is my point that I'm trying to get to, is this. The Steelers now, for the last 52 games, have been utterly predictable. And now they are not predictable, because you got two guys who have never
an
offense or had schemes or had to come up with game plan. And one of the things that I noticed really popped off the tape was guys being in the right positions. The skill players being in the right positions. The linemen being used the correct way to holes for your guy, number 22. Do you remember last show? And I said, and people jumped all over me because, hey, Pittsburgh Steelers get a 100-yard rusher and a 200-yard passer and a 100-yard and a 100-yard receiving.
Right.
78% of the time they win the game. All right. Yeah. It wasn't quite a 100-yard rusher with Naji, but in my book, that's 100 yards all day.
Oh, yeah. He had 99. And I mean, it's now 4 weeks in a row that they've topped 150 yards on the ground as a team, which I think is just spectacular. I believe it's
take that all day.
Yeah, I believe it's the best streak they've had since Mike Tomlin has been the head coach. I think in this day and age, if you're able to move the ball on the ground like this, because this ground game now is working, and it's not just, it's all of it, because the average runs now are turning into 4 and 5 yards, and they're breaking runs. I mean, Jaylen Warren leads the league in yards per carry, and Naji Harris leads the league and runs over 20 yards, which I think is just I mean, that's amazing for a guy that people are constantly trying to compare to like a Trent Richardson or something. Like, you know, Najee is turned into a really good running back, and that run he had, that angry run he had this week, was just spectacular, man. He was in the middle of a pile of
And
people and
I was
pushed
just
it.
gonna say, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one. Yep.
and he pushed it 15
Okay.
yards. I mean, that was unbelievable. You love to see it. I think you saw the short term, the intended short term boost of firing a coach, which is like, okay, this shifts the blame now to say, okay, like clearly the players didn't want to play for Matt Canada. They didn't feel they were being well prepared. And now it shifts it to like, okay, Calvin Austin, okay, Allen Robinson, okay, Kenny Pickett, why do you deserve your job still? And I think that sometimes that can be a prudent move. I said it last week, even before we saw the game, but I'll say it now. Especially again, I give Mike a lot of credit, whether it was truly his decision or truly Art Rooney's decision or what have you. It's something they've never
Just
done
playing under
before.
the
And
bridge, right?
yeah, and it's something they've never done before. And it clearly benefited them. And, like you said, it gives them now something as we go down the line. Suddenly, this defense is playing really good. You're talking about a team that's given up 15 points a game for the last half a season now at this point. And do you know, I didn't even really think about this. This season, Minkah, TJ, and Cam have only played a total of 2 series together.
All at the same time,
Yeah.
like on the field at the same
Yeah,
time.
because Cam got hurt in week 1, and then by the time he came back, Minkah
Minka
has
was
been
out.
hurt. So that's something to really think about there. Where like, we're seeing these guys now, Trenton Thompson. We're seeing, Michael Walker. Big ups to him with the Jalen
No,
Samuels jersey.
the best one in the show was he made that interception and he was like, "Who?
Yeah, it was the play of the
Who
game.
is
Yeah.
this guy?"
No, but listen, for as much as like you want to, we talk about, it's easy to talk about the negative things that we want to blame coaches on. But I think you got to say at least one thing: these practice squad guys have been great. They really have. Trenton Thompson, both of the games he's had to play, has stood out. And Michael Walker's all over the field making plays. He looks like Quan Alexander. So I give them credit.
I know.
I give them
I'm with you.
credit. I think they have a deeper team. I think one of the flaws with them in the very end of the Roethlisberger era was that it was not a deep
Agreed.
team. The 2020 team was
Agreed.
not deep at all. You lost one guy
At
and you were
all.
doomed. And remember, like, shoot, even like last year, they didn't have anybody to back up TJ when he got hurt. They had nobody. Right now, if you had to have Golden play for 3 or 4 games, you'd be fine. Last year, they didn't
Yeah,
have
exactly.
anybody. They traded for that jabroni from Denver who didn't do anything. Like, I don't know.
Jabroni. Denver. Is that a New York thing, jabroni?
No, I think it's a pro wrestling thing.
All right. I'm assuming it's not very positive.
It just means like the Rock used to say it. That's where I got it from. He used to say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is wrestling, so you got the tie in there, so you're good. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the other thing that really looked off the film for me in this last look. Completely understand about the team that it was against and everything else like that. And this game was very much needed, as far as I'm concerned. We all thought that Cleveland game was a much needed win. This one here was too. Just because it helps to keep them in the conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you drop that game week before, and then you come back out this week and then show out.
Yeah, I
like
felt as though going into this before in successive days, Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow got hurt, which is just crazy how that all happened. I felt, every step of the way, right? We've assessed like chunks of games. And I think, back at that certain point, we were like, okay, if we get to 3-2 after the first 5, it's like I'm feeling okay about
Right.
this. And then we looked at that next chunk and we said, okay, like you go 3-1 again, and suddenly you're at 6-3, whatever, however the math worked out. And I remember looking at these two because there was that 3-game homestand with Green Bay, Tennessee, and what the heck was the other one? Green Bay, Tennessee.
Arizona.
No, that's next. It was like the games a minute ago. Green Bay, Tennessee, and whatever. I can't remember, but and you
Okay,
said
Cincinnati was.
yeah. So you said you should win those, but going into this pair of games on the road, the two Ohio teams, I think I went in saying, okay, if you go 1-1, I think you live with that. The way that the Cleveland game happened was very frustrating to me because to me that game was just there for them. And no matter what happens this year, I think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs, and I think they have a heck of a chance to even win a playoff game, to be honest with you. But I have been watching football long enough to know that however you end up your season, a loss like that always hurts you at the end because it's going to be the difference between they're a game up going into Baltimore, or they're even, or they're a game back, or whatever it is. It's gonna hurt them. You cannot lose games like that. And that's why I was so frustrated. And I think that's why the whole fan base was so frustrated, because it was just there. And I think that's why
Yeah.
collectively we all felt that. I heard Ron Cook talking about this, writer and radio host in Pittsburgh, and he said he saw Art Rooney after that game on the ride down in the elevator, and he said he looked so dejected in that game. And I think it's because you as a Steelers fan, you mark down those games against the Cleveland Browns as these are games we should win every time.
Drop football, Mike. Whatever. Games need to win. Done.
Exactly. And that game they had so many opportunities. So like when you're in it, yeah, it sucks. But then, you take into account the totality of everything. Cleveland, that was really like their back against the wall game. They had to do everything they possibly could to because that game would have put them in the ground if they lost that game. They're still going to be alive for a while. But they have no future without Watson. They just don't. And I don't think they have a future with Watson, to be honest. But then you bounce back with Cincy.
With you on that too.
Yeah, and you bounce back with Cincy, and you're happy with that. And now you have another stretch here where I can't look at this. I have been cautioning fans all year as saying, like, this is not the caliber of team where you can say any week they should win. But I'm gonna go against that a little bit for this next 2 weeks and say you got to come out of these next 2 games 9-4. You just do. You can't lose one of these games. They're terrible. Both of these teams are unforgivably bad. Arizona has one good player with Kyler Murray, and even he's coming back from an injury. You can't let him beat you. You gotta, their defense, you should move up and down the field. And I'll say it right now. This game is not this is not a game that you win on defense. This is a game that you have to go in and you have to say, our offense is going to score 26 points. And it doesn't matter what happens on the other side of the ball because we're going to score, because that defense is awful. Absolutely awful. There's practice squad guys all over it.
I'm glad you were the one that brought that up, because I didn't want to be the only one screaming at the top of my lungs going, you know what? If you don't whip these guys, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. You know how we always sit back and, yeah, we love those close games. And yeah, we always talk about having, 911 on speed on the nitroglycerin pills right next to your, bitch. You got the defibrillator hanging all fully charged every time you dealer game. You know what I mean? Like, it would be nice to just
listen.
Be leading by like 21-7 by halftime.
Listen, this is a team that gives up they're 31st in scoring defense. So they've given up 26.8 points per game. And look at this. Look at these run totals. Okay, this is defensive rush yards given up. The least they've given up in a game was 92. So they give up from week 1 on 92, 127, 185, 124, 93, 179, 115, 130, 113, 184, 111, and last week 228 yards on the ground. Naji and Jalen, this is a game They should both be approaching 100 yards. And as long as Kenny Pickett stays efficient and doesn't turn the ball over, you got to punch it in the end zone. You got to score. This is not a real defense. And if this is a game with 5 minutes to go, for me, it's a disappointment. And you guys know, in the 5 years I've been doing this, I almost never say that because the Steelers just haven't been good. But where they are right now and where Arizona is right now, you need to come out and you need to win this game. This has to be a confidence builder.
Has to be a whipping.
Yeah, it does.
To take these guys, and Tomlin said it even in his press conference too. We can't James Conner do James Conner things, right?
Yeah.
And you can't Kyler Murray do Kyler Murray things neither. Okay, because you got people staying at home. You gotta have people that have edge discipline this week. You need to have that edge discipline, because if you don't, Kyler Murray is going to kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Seriously. This guy is the real deal. I watched the game. It's 2 games now since he's had his ACL reconstructive surgery, and you can't even tell.
No, yeah.
You can't even tell. Like, they is still just as fast, just smoking. It doesn't matter. You can't tell.
No.
So you can't let him beat you. You got to have discipline, or you got to have a spy, because you can't let him do whatever he does and run all over you, because he will, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, no, it's as simple as that. When you have teams where there's one really good player, and yeah, I guess, okay, I said one really good player. I don't mean to look past James Conner. I love James Conner. It's just when you have this kind of a mismatch in quality of opponent, to me, the running back should never, I like when we play the Titans, I'm never really that worried about Derrick Henry because we should be winning that game. Like, and it kind of limits how much the running back can impact the game, and so James Conner shouldn't. He'll probably score. If they score a touchdown or two, he'll probably be one of them. He is. That's something I wanted to bring up, by the way. Very quietly, James Conner has gone on to have just a really nice NFL career, and that's just cool. I don't know. That it's nothing to like say other than that's just pretty cool.
It's only quietly because we're out here and he's out there, right?
That's
in
true.
Arizona, man.
That's true.
Everywhere you go, his jerseys are all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And he's very well liked there in Arizona because of the kind of person that he is. We know the kind of person he is. He was here for how many years? You know what I mean? But he's one of those quality players that we should have gotten rid of. He's probably one of those cats that probably should have stuck around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, fortunately, that the problem is going to probably be the end of his proneness to being injured.
Yeah, that's why
he's coming off another injury.
Yeah.
But like you said, he was leading the league in touchdowns.
Oh yeah, no, he scores touchdowns. He's got 2 seasons, one in 2018, the year he started when Le'Veon never showed up. He had 973 yards on the ground, 12 touchdowns, and 497 receiving. That's a nice year. And then in 2021,
nice year.
Yeah, in 21 he played 15 games for the Cardinals. He was splitting carries, so he didn't have that many touches. But he put up 750 yards and 15 touchdowns. I mean, 15 rushing touchdowns in 2023, man. That's a hell of a year. He's gonna end up having some nice career numbers. He's only 28, and I wish him nothing but the best, man.
If he can stay healthy.
Yeah,
I'm with you too. I'm with you, but he needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, for sure. But for what he overcame and everything, I just think that's spectacular.
I'm with you.
I really wanted the Steelers to draft him, and I was one of the voices constantly saying he was the least of their issues when people turned on him, like they did, like they do with everyone after some time, where it's like the offense stinks and they're like, well, James Conner's no good. And I'm like, nah, James Conner's pretty good. He's just got nowhere to go.
Well, it's the same thing that everybody was saying about Naji.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is what don't realize. Maybe I'm not trying to offend anybody, but what I'm trying to say is that you look at Najee Harris when he ran at Alabama. He was a marquee running back because he had a marquee offensive line. He was running through holes
Yeah.
like he's running through holes now.
Yeah.
His first year or 2 years here in Pittsburgh, those holes weren't there. And Matt Canada's offense was not designed to create those holes or put him in that position to get to the second level. You see, that's where Najee is at his best when he's
Exactly.
at the level. Okay, so he's so explosive off the line, but he needs that hole to get to the second, because once you get him out in open space, then it's just like, well, see ya, right? Because the guy can shift into gears.
Yeah. No.
Have that like extra gear.
Yeah. No,
Right?
where he excels,
know,
where he excels is when he gets, where he gets a full head of steam going against a guy that's smaller than him. He's just it's hard for a safety to take him down. It just is. And but all these runs, we talked about it earlier in the year. I remember where, you know, we're saying like why, we're running a draw play out of the shotgun with Najee where it's like he's not even at full speed by the time he gets to the line of scrimmage, and then there's nowhere to go, and then there's no way to like actually use his ability and his strengths. And I think that's why Jaylen Warren looked so much better. Not that Jaylen Warren might not actually be better. Jaylen Warren is just turning into a really good running back, so it's not to take anything away from him. I just think it was so clear the way in which they just count, like I think Warren just countered the deficiencies of the Canada
oh,
regime.
good way to put that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I think his natural ability was different and therefore he looked better in that system, right? And I think that that's what we were seeing. I think Jalen might just be a better, however you determine who's a better running back, might he actually be better? Maybe. But I think that that doesn't mean that Najee Harris isn't also a really good player. They're just different.
They both excel at different things. Like Jaylen Warren is really good at picking up the blitz.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen him in plays where he gets completely buried,
Yep.
but he takes care of his man. I mean,
Yeah.
he gets blowed up, but
Well, he gets
that's one
low
guy
because
less.
he's little, and so I think that that helps those guys sometimes. Like I think Najee, you see guys like Najee and Derrick Henry, and you're like, oh, they should be a beast in blitz pickup, but they're too tall.
They stand or stand exactly. See
Yeah.
that's it. Then that's why guys like that are good at picking up the blitz, and that means they take that guy out, so he's no longer the problem anymore. So
Shout
I
out
don't care if you're
Shout out! Just
good.
anytime this comes up, I always got to give out a shout out to my guy Le'Veon Bell, who was elite at blitz pickup. I just have to say it every time. That was one thing that no one talked. The way that people
Yeah.
talk about Hines Ward as a blocker, I think people should talk about Le'Veon Bell as a blitz pickup guy because he was fantastic at it, and that's why he never came off the field. Just a little, just had to drop
Exactly.
that in. Just had to drop that in.
But that's what I think, and you're right. I think Jaylen Warren is able to. He's more of a north and south guy, but he's more of a 18 inches, man. Like is all I need.
Yeah.
Like you just that's all he needs is just that little sliver of daylight, and suddenly here's Jaylen Warren, running out there like a gazelle.
Yeah.
So like most running backs, especially him and Najee, they thrive on contact.
Yeah.
They look for on. Okay, Najee Harris has more yards after contact all day long.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and every year with the Steelers, he has more yards after contact.
Yeah, well,
So
and because part of that is because he's
that in the
talented.
background.
Yeah, part of that is because he's talented. Part of that's because he's getting struck after 0.5 seconds
Oh,
after touching the
well,
ball.
but that's what I'm trying to say. Is what
Yeah.
you notice that even though he hits and makes those big 20 chunk yard runs,
Yeah.
he's he's breaking tackles, he's popping people, he's running to people to hit him, to run him over. I What really impresses me the most about Najee Harris is his strength, his upper body strength,
Yep.
to where he can just throw guys off with his arm. You don't see even Derek isn't
Yeah.
that. Oh, we're not seeing running backs that are even McCaffrey. Yeah, okay, McCaffrey thick spark plug, but you still don't want the arm strength doing what Najee's doing.
No, Najee's an impressive
So,
athlete. And the one thing um we got to say about him too is much like my man Cookie's favorite son Terrell Edmonds, Najee Harris, man, he just shows up to practice. He to be a running back in this league and take as many touches as he has for 3 years now. And
yeah,
knock on
and
wood,
the abuse that he's taken.
he has been, and that's why I was proud of him for being the one to be the offensive leader. Like I said, I thought it was a joke that they didn't make him a captain this year. I hate that the Steelers are so like serious about like, well, we only have one captain for offense and one for defense. Like that's so silly. Like Najee was a captain last year and Najee deserved to be a captain this year. He is to me the leader of the offense on the outside looking in. Najee Harris, I think, is the guy there. He played with Ben. Like, he's the guy to carry that forward a little bit. And but I just was
I'm
proud.
with you.
I was
Yeah, I'm
proud of
with
him
you.
because I noticed it in the Browns game there where there was those two straight plays where he just they called a run play for him where he ran into a brick wall, and then there was that little like third down conversion attempt where Pickett slung it out to him and he got just like kneecapped immediately. And it was the kind of play where like you're watching it as a spectator and you're like, man, I feel for that back, because like he's got no choice other than to try to catch it and try to make somebody miss like 0.2 seconds after he catches it. Like anybody's gonna go down. Like it's an impossible task.
2
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
that play they ran 2 times
Yeah.
this past Sunday. Okay, both times were unsuccessful. Now, I understand it's a play in football, and I get it, and I understand why you're trying to do it. But you could definitely tell there was a huge wind of change in the way that the team presented on offense this past week.
Oh yeah.
There was a different swagger. Like there
No.
was smiles on face. There were fives. I didn't hear anybody complain
Yeah.
about the victory that we had, where everybody was involved. Look, when the first from scrimmage and the first thing you do is chunk play to Pat Fryermuth, you're meaning business.
Yeah. No, I mean that was just funny that that's how that happened. It reminded me of like the second Haley was gone, that first game they ran a quarterback sneak and it was like a big like ha ha moment because they never ran them when Haley was here. And it was just so,
Right.
and it seemed so intentional. It of course it was just a great counter for what the Bengals do on defense, which is play a lot of cover two. But where has that been all year?
And they ran that play successfully all game long because he was open
Yeah.
all game long.
So I wanna share a quote I found on Twitter today. It's
Uh-oh.
Calvin Austin, right? And somebody asked him about the preparation and how it was different and all that kind of stuff. And I think this is really interesting. I'd say it was intentional. Coach Sully and Coach Falk were spelling out every situation we'll be in and what we could expect from him to call. It was them laying out, in this situation, we'll do this, and you can expect this. So we came into the game knowing, oh, we're in this 3rd and 5, and we know what play will get called. It was everybody being understanding and knowing the goal of the play call, and in each situation knowing what to expect. Are you telling me that Matt Canada was not having conversations about what do we like in 3rd and medium? Because that's nuts. Excuse my language, but that's fucking nuts. That's crazy. Are you nuts? I mean, what was he doing all week? What was he doing all week? Like, he didn't say that wasn't happening, but I mean, the way he's saying that, like, he's saying it like it's the first time since I've been here, somebody was like, yeah, and we're going to probably call this on 3rd and medium. Like, 3rd and 5, okay, 3rd and 5 is not, 4th and goal from the 26. It's not exactly a specialty play. You know what I mean? Like, you should be talking to your wide receivers about you should be talking about what you're going to run on 3rd and 5. So, what's your reaction to that, and what do you make out of that?
Wow. Well, first of all, I have to say that wow, that is really spelling it out there. I think the fact. So.
Isn't that just wild? I mean, it's like.
But this is why I said this at the beginning of the show, that I felt that the players handled this in the media very well.
Yeah.
Okay, for the first time ever, we're not getting bulletin board material from the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room because bad happened there.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, firing a coach midway through the season for the first time since 1944 is something bad happening. Okay. So, but to hear that from the players, and I've been listening to it, all week. Kenny, I listened to his press conference, and he said kind of the same thing where, we knew what to expect coming into the game. I mean, we knew how things were going to roll and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So listening to his press conference was really cool. And what happened?
What's up?
Weird. We are off. Oh, now we're back.
Oh, the screens. Yeah, I know. I was just playing. I don't know why it disappeared. It was like whatever window was minimized or something, but it's fine now.
Oh, okay, because it keeps doing it.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure it out, but it should be good now.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I was something going on. Okay. But the fact that all the players this whole week were seeing that, hey, we're on the same page. This is what to expect. You could tell when you watch the tape because they were, as they say, ahead of the sticks. A 75% of the time throughout the game, they played ahead of the sticks. Okay, so that means that on first down, you're getting a good enough chunk of yards so that by the time you get to 2nd and 3rd down, you have 2-3 yards, 4 yards to go before you have first downs, and it's a lot easier because, let's face, average play, run play, screen play, your average play should net you somewhere between 5 to 7 yards per play. You know what I mean? So all you really need is 2, and you should have a first down. Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly. And so that's kind of that's how that shakes down when you have everybody all on the same page. When you have everybody know what to expect, like, hey, we're a lot of second and 4. We're seeing a lot of 3. We're seeing a lot of, hey, it's a lot easier on 2nd and 3 to hand it off to Warren. And pop, he pops it off the side, and boom, there's a 15-yard chunk.
So what do we think? And I mean, I'd love to ask the people in the chat this too, but like, what do we think though of, I mean, is this like a stylistic thing for Matt Canada? Was this just like, I mean, is this like, do you chalk this up? I don't want to accuse this, but like, do you chalk that up to like an arrogance? Like, I just don't understand what that is. That like, we just continue to hear things that imply he just wasn't working closely with the players. And that to me is just so bizarre. Like, I think even Ben said some stuff about how he was very hands off with the quarterback. And, especially with a young guy coming in. Remember earlier in the season, there was that story that seemed like a non-story where they said like Matt Canada is going to be working more with Kenny Pickett. You know, remember that? That was like maybe like week 3 or week 4, and everybody was like, "What is that? Like, what does
Yeah. What
that
does that mean?
mean?" And I think, I think he's just like I don't know. I think he's just like a weird. It's just a weird thing to hear this and to understand. So many of these things, and how many of these things, do we look at and say, okay, this lack of communication and lack of understanding of what we're supposed to be doing on offense, how much does that affect these sort of like third down conversion type plays where Deontay's running an option route, but his offensive coordinator isn't telling him what to do? He had the benefit in his good years, his 2 good years, and with Ben, of a quarterback who literally, went to him before the snap and said, "This is what you're going to do. This is what's going to happen." And I don't think it's a coincidence that his stats fell off a cliff the second he didn't have that at quarterback anymore.
And you can see that in Kenny Pickett. You can see that all across the board with the fact that.
And that's not Pickett's fault. You can't ask him to do that. You can't ask him to do that as a rookie and a second-year player. You can't.
Right. And that's kind of where that's why I was so utterly frustrated with the fact there were multiple games where Gunner being featured, where Calvin Austin III was being featured, when you have guys like Niles, Jalen Warren, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson. You missed him for a couple of games. You had him for the first 5 games. You still didn't, right? You have all these weapons, and you're featuring these guys.
Yeah.
That's dome scratching as I'm concerned. Somebody who clearly is out of their element. So everybody's saying, they want to say, but here's my take on it. I really think that he was over his head. I really think that he should have never have been hired as an offensive coordinator. Look, I understand giving a guy a chance and everything else, but there have been some red flags in the fact he never was on the field during his college coaching days. Like, what?
Yeah.
If you're an offensive coordinator, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, just look at the difference that happened when he went from the booth to the field. Doing that.
Yeah.
The difference on the field was palpable.
Oh, it was. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, hey, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's abundantly clear that he was just, in over his head at this level, and yeah. No, but I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited here for the future with Sullivan and Faulkner, and I think Faulkner especially seems to really have a lot of buy-in from the players. And I think he's bringing a little bit of a toughness element to that side of the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that could be good. I think, the ultimate question now just becomes, okay, how do they unlock Pickett? And I thought this was a good step in the right direction, thrown for 277 or whatever it was. I thought, I don't know, you and me haven't talked, but I thought even without the touchdowns, I thought he played his best bell-to-bell game that he's played so far, to be honest. I really did.
This season.
No, overall in his whole career. Yeah, I thought even last year there were games, I would say maybe that Colts game, he was start to finish really good. But even last year, even those games that people lionize him for, the Raiders and the Ravens, he was mostly crappy until the fourth quarter in those games too.
So I'm a little buzzed he was live, so I got to see it live. But when he came into that Jets game last year,
yeah, but he threw 3 interceptions.
There was no way that. Okay, but that was all just.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the game against the Bills, then the game against the Ravens, where he popped up and got all snippy with somebody. That's the quarterback that I want.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Okay, can we get back to
Yeah.
Okay. And it looked like with the game last week that he was having a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
He was smiling a little bit more. He was doing some high fives a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's like it makes it nice when you get into the red zone, have some S, and the guys score touchdowns. Hey, you get to do the celebrations. You get to, everybody gets to run into the end zone and do your little thing and whatever. And then afterwards, everybody's all on TikTok. Hey, everybody's all dancing in the room and having a great time because everybody won.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's even like the little differences. I've been saying this too all week, which is like, it's not just that you didn't go, like, there's such a big difference. You're not going to score every drive. The Bills with Josh Allen and the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, they don't score in every drive, right? But there is a difference.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. There's a difference between possessing the ball for 4 minutes and getting 2 first downs. There's a difference between running 5 or 6 plays than there is running 3. There's a significant difference in the way that impacts your defense and everything.
For you. How's this for you? You said the magic word right there, buddy. 22% less time on the field, the defense. So
they played 41 snaps this week. They played 41 snaps. That you're gonna win if you got Minkah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, and Cam Hayward, and they play 41 snaps a game. You are gonna win that game almost every time.
All day long.
Yeah.
Almost every time. Come on. Right? When your defense gets to sit back and put the coats on because it's cold.
Yeah.
And they all get to huddle around it. They're all looking at the surface.
Because that means more third downs that TJ Watt is in the game. That means, that's good stuff. That means you're not rotating out Cam Hayward and Larry Ogunjobi. And it has a trickle effect. And I think that's, to me, though, that's again why this game should be similar to what the Bengals game would have been had they gotten that touchdown. I really believe had they scored that Deontay touchdown, I really think the Steelers would have won that game by 10 plus points, and I think we would have been sitting back by 8 minutes to go in the fourth, and I think that's what this should be. Yeah. I really believe that, don't you? If they got that touchdown, I think they would have rolled in that game.
That would have nailed the coffin shut if they would have got that touchdown. And I'm going to tell you this too. We now, by the way, shout out to Jesse James. It's now been over 2,200 days or whatever. But now he has to create one now that and say a new burner account and say Dante Johnson caught that. That was a touchdown by Dante Johnson, whatever, because that should have been. That was a touchdown as far as I'm concerned.
Well, no, what the account should say is Mike Tomlin should have challenged that.
Yeah. Mike Tomlin should. DJ Cash for touchdown.
What'd you think of his explanation for that? Because I thought it was kind of cheesy. I didn't really like it.
Unacceptable.
He basically just said, "Well, if the referees aren't debating it, I assume it's clear cut." And I was like, "What does that mean?"
And he also said, "Well, we have people in the booth that are monitoring these things." Well, they clearly didn't tell you the right thing, man, or they weren't watching the screen. During that play, because y'all should have challenged that one.
Yeah, that was obvious.
Failure. All day long, unacceptable. All day long, unacceptable. See what I mean? Even when we're doing this fully, even when we're having success, there's still those things that Tomlin just. Really?
Oh, no, listen. There's nothing. I'll say. I'll give him a lot of credit. I think he is managing out. In totality, an interesting year here, and I'll give him credit. But there's no way you could be the most pro Tomlin person in the world, but there is no way to argue that in his career he has been absolutely terrible at the challenge system. When to challenge, what to challenge. His percentage doesn't look that bad compared. I was actually reading this in The Athletic today. His percentage really doesn't look that bad, actually. I believe his career percentage is 41%, if I'm not mistaken. Hang on, I'm gonna pull it up and see if I can find it. Where is it?
Oh, by the way, shout out to is it Lita?
Yes.
Her big hit was perfect. Yeah, man. That was a great. I need to see him more too.
Oh,
I'm excited to see him play more too.
the percentage of time he's played so few snaps, but the amount of like tackle for loss and sacks, I think it's about 1/6 of the
Difference
plays
maker.
like 1/6 or 1/5 of the plays he's made a play, and he just looks to me, maybe it'd be a waste, but I feel like he could be an off-ball linebacker. I feel like he could. I could see that. Like, a
A
guy kind
Mac,
of roaming around and making plays. Yeah, because he looks
yeah,
like that. He's got more of that like lateral ability. He's not like he's not a
he's a
bulldog
little
like
lankier.
Alex. Yeah.
He's a little lankier too. You know what I mean? Because Quan's up top,
Yeah.
you know, is thick up top too. You know what I mean? Those guys are good at stopping the run. You know what I'm saying? But Herbig's got that speed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It'd be that.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I think
not
he
gonna
can.
say it.
No, I just think he could be. He's to me a guy that I look at and I'm like, okay, well, like he's got to get some playing time next year, and with the contracts with TJ and Alex, like there's no room for him there. Like obviously you always want rotational pieces, but I think he's gonna be a guy where people in camp next year are gonna be looking at saying, well, this guy's got to, you got to find a way for him to play, and I just just something on my mind. It's he looks dynamic. The Mike Tomlin, I have the numbers, by the way. So this is NFL. Would you care to
His challenge.
Yeah, would you
His
care to
challenge number.
Yeah, would you care to venture a guess as to who the best coach in the league is at challenges? And it's by a pretty substantial amount, actually.
It's Belichick.
No, Belichick is actually below Tomlin. Belichick is only at 40.8%.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? Who's the best?
The best is Kyle Shanahan at 55.6%. To me, the Niners and what Shanahan is doing is the model for modern organization. I'm sure they have 15 nerds in the booth looking at video all But I mean, am I wrong? They probably do. They probably have a video analytics team that's looking at everything. And I'm sure that teams like the Steelers and the Bengals and stuff, they're playing AFC North football. They don't have...
You're right. So let me throw something here. San Francisco was one of the first teams to have an onboard. Now, did they have doctors on board?
Right.
But they had psychiatrists. They had therapists. They had those kinds of people on board with the San Francisco 49ers back when Carmen Policy was running the show.
Yeah.
So San Francisco is long ahead of the game when it comes to analytics and it's like that, as far as some of that's concerned. So it does not surprise me one little bit that because he's that type of coach.
Yeah.
Which is the detail kind of guy. You know what I mean? Where okay, so who is it?
So it's the top guys are Shanahan at 55, Andy Reid at 49, which is for him, for how long he's been doing it, that's pretty impressive because Andy Reid's been a coach for, 400 games between two teams. McCarthy, Doug Peterson, Ron Rivera, and then down at the bottom, by far, this is surprising to me. I guess I don't watch enough Bills games. Sean McDermott, 24%. He's only gotten 7 out of 29 challenges correct in his career. Isn't that a little bizarre?
Oh my God. You should probably, if you only get that many, maybe you need to hire some of those people from Cisco to come.
That's really far below. I mean, Tomlin and Belichick are the lower end at 40 and 41%, but McDermott, that's brutal.
Rabbit MC says, "Can we get some nerds in Tom's ear?" Yeah, can we?
Did you guys hear me in the show? I said $149,000 a year. I'll be a video assistant. Bring me down to the Berg. I'm in. I'm there. I will. Who
Pick
sees
me.
who sees stuff before me? I was the only one thinking about that 2:04 on the clock before the onside kick. I'm sitting there saying, "You got to catch this. You got to run around. You got to." And I'm so proud that Danny Smith alerted George Pickens. And George Pickens will never get credit for that. Everybody, all the Yinzers are only going to want to trash him for being, oh, he's pouting and whatever. And he took that ball and he plowed into that pile for a full 5 seconds. He knew what he was on the ball there. Credit to him. That's a big play. That's a big play.
And Georgia Bulldog,
Hey, what can I say? When you meet the
yeah.
Georgia Bulldogs,
I gotta, you gotta give your boys gotta give your boys some shade, right? You know what I'm saying? So,
speaking of Georgia Bulldogs,
I'm with you on that.
Georgia Bulldogs. Here's a change of topic. Is Hines Ward a Hall of Famer? I feel like it's really I feel like the obvious Yinzer reaction is to say, yes, he has the statistics. He's good. But I've just always felt that he was just the slightest bit below until I looked at his career postseason statistics. And
that's
to me,
where he jumps off the page.
No, he does. There are not many wide receivers in the history of the NFL that have better postseason statistics than Hines Ward. So, to me, that's actually pushed me back over.
A la Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
I think Jerry Rice has a really good Terrell Owens has good postseason numbers. So does Randy Moss. So does who's that guy from New England?
Edelman. Wes Welker, Edelman, Andre Reed. I'm sure Welker, just because they played so many,
Right. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I'm with you on that. So okay, here's my take on Hines Ward. I think Hall of Famer. From somebody who's been to the Hall of Fame, seen guys get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then questioned why certain guys were let in and why certain other guys aren't let in. I kind of have a hard time with stuff. Because do I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Okay. And why I say this is because he kind of changed the. Do you know what I'm saying? Now he's got 1,000 catches. He's got whatever. He's got all this. He does have numbers are not super lofty. No. Because let's face it, he played for a run-first team his whole year.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have those gaudy numbers like Ramos or
and he was whatever. And he was really more of a possession third down kind of receiver anyway. He was never Randy Moss. Hines was never going to run past you even when he was a rookie.
But that's what I'm trying to say though. He's kind of guy. That's not the receiver he was. Right? You know what I'm saying? But he changed the game because of what he did when he wasn't catching the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. And so see, I add as my kind of difference maker as to who I think goes into Hall of Fame or not. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people out there that are screaming for certain players to get in.
Sure.
There's one I really think deserves to be in, and that's Elsie Greenwood.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Okay. You cannot deny the talent, the number of all-pro games, or the number of pro elections, the fact that he's got 4 championships, the number of tackles that he has, the fact that he played on the Steel Curtain, and everything else on that line is in.
No, he's just a victim of. He's a victim of playing for a team that just, so many guys got in that it's just, it's a numbers game at some point where voters feel like, okay, there's enough of the 70s Steelers in there already. So that, I agree. I think Elsie Greenwood should definitely be in the Hall of Fame, but I get it, I guess. Hines, I don't know. I just thinking about it for years, I've always felt
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always felt no, like that I just didn't think he would get in. Not that he wouldn't, not that I wouldn't be
Yeah.
elated if he did, but I just thought he was just a not, you have to look at it and
Wasn't that
say,
guy?
yeah, you have to look at it and say, was he ever like a top 3 guy at his position in the league? And like, he just really wasn't. Like, I loved Hines. I got like 4 Hines Ward jerseys. Georgia Bulldog. I've said this before. He's why I like the Georgia Bulldogs. Um, I think he's just a notch below. Although I will say, postseason statistics, he had 88 catches for 1,181 yards and 10 touchdowns in 18 postseason games. That's Hall of Fame caliber, and that was one thing that when I look at it, I say, and then you add in the Super Bowl 40 where he was the best player on the field,
MVP,
yeah,
Super Bowl win, an
yeah.
MVP. I mean,
Well, that's the thing. How do we value Super Bowl MVP? I've always struggled with that because I think a lot of people have a tendency to list it like Eli Manning, right? That always gets listed 2-time Super Bowl MVP. I sometimes I generally have been like, Super Bowl MVP. Like, what is that? Like, it's cool that you were the best player in the Super Bowl, but like, it's not really like a statistic. Like, I don't know that I really like think about it that way. It definitely adds to Eli Manning's resume, and then I have to say, well, if it adds to Eli Manning's resume, then it has to add to Hines Ward's resume, right?
And added to all the other guys that got in. Yeah. Let's face it, how many Super Bowl MVPs did Joe Montana have?
I don't know.
2. How many? 2.
Yeah.
How many have? 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many did Kurt Warner have? 1.
Yeah, Kurt Warner's a sticking.
Have?
Kurt Warner's a sticking point for me. I did not think Kurt Warner deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree with you 100%.
No, I didn't think his resume was. I thought it was extreme quarterback bias. I thought his resume was not nearly long enough.
Yep.
I'm
with you all that.
But again, how do we value play in the Super Bowl? Because he, as a quarterback, played 3 of the best games in Super Bowl history. He only won 1, but he played, I think, 3 of until that Brady Foles Super Bowl. I think he was 3 of the top 5 all-time yardage performances in the Super Bowl. So I guess that's why he got in. So then it brings me back around to say, well, okay, if that can benefit a quarterback and that can benefit, because if Eli Manning doesn't win those 2 Super Bowls, Eli Manning's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. And if Kurt Warner doesn't have those 3 performances in the Super Bowl, he's not a Super Bowl he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yeah.
I agree 100%.
So then I guess.
See, you can't put a quarterback as the same. You can't judge a quarterback as running or as wide receiver. What I'm saying. I think it would be great to see Hines Ward get in. I too agree, though. I feel that he just was always that. He just never seemed like he was going to make it into the Hall of Fame because he didn't seem like he had the numbers. Look, I understand about the postseason, and that's all great. And it's all great that he has a Super Bowl championship, and it's great that he has an MVP. Those are all things that will help him get into the Hall of Fame, that will give him votes. Understand what I'm saying? But outside looking in, would I be extremely excited to see him go? You bet.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd have to go get Banner because the one I have now will have to have new numbers on it when he gets elected into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So now let's go to the next that made the list, right? So James Harrison. Do you think he is a Hall of Fame player?
No, I don't. No, that one. Okay, so I'll give Darkshine in the chat here. He's like, you just talked yourself into it. And honestly, you know what? I did talk myself into it. I've decided today, November 30th, 2023, that I think Hines Ward is deserving of the Hall of Fame. I still think he probably doesn't get in unless it's as a Veterans Committee pick later on. But I think he's
he's not going to make it now. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you think about those postseason stats, that's pretty great. And if we're going to heavily weight the postseason and Super Bowl for other positions, then I think it's fair to do it for receiver. And there are not many guys who had a better thing. But Harrison, you know, I mean, I love him, but you know, he had he had 3 years with double-digit sacks. No, it's not. No, it's not good enough. I'm sorry. Like, I know you guys love him and everybody, we all love him, and he made a great play, the greatest play maybe in Super Bowl history. He won a Defensive Player of the Year, no doubt about it. But I mean, you know, he had 16 sacks one year, 10 the next, 10 and a half the next, and he never topped. He was a really good player.
Total.
84 and a half.
As far as that, that's not Hall of Fame numbers.
Nah, it's just not.
It's just not.
Yeah, no, it's just he was a great player, but he
for the years, not for the amount of years he and only having less than 100 sacks, and he played for 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah, he played for 14. He played
11?
He played 15 years.
And he only has 88.
Yeah.
When your job is to look, he was much more versatile than just a sack guy. I mean, he clearly was this guy on the field every single place that he went. He's still the strongest guy on the field every place he goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? There's no questioning that. There's no questioning his work ethic. And there's no questioning the fact that when he was on the field, you had to account for number 92. Okay? My bad. Her first jersey was, guess what? A James Harrison jersey.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Okay? Right? So, love him. Love the way he plays. Love his life. Love how he, raises up his kids to do the right thing, to have the right attitude, to treat people the way they're supposed to be treated. Things like that. Everybody gave him off because he was against kids, participation trophies and all this other stuff. Darkshine says, Steelers Ring of Honor player. Yep, agreed 100% all day long.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
No, Harrison to me is the definition of the Hall of Very Good. Like he's a guy. Yeah.
The Hall of Very Good. Oh, yeah. I like that.
No, I think guys, I mentioned, I joked about that, like Mike Wallace in the show this week is a guy who you just look at and you're like, wow, that guy was a really, really good player for a longer than you think. And, but it doesn't make you a Hall of Famer, like, I think, even guys in recent memory, I'll say like even the Odell Beckhams of the world, these are guys that while they're here, you're like, wow, that guy's really good. And then you look at the totality of their career and the time they missed and this thing and that thing. And you're like, yeah, that's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, there's a difference, right, between watching Deontay Johnson and watching Antonio Brown, right? Like I was talking to my sister about that this week where we were talking about the Deontay Johnson thing. And she's like, he's got to get his head on straight and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he's just not good enough to be that loopy. You know what I mean? Like, Antonio could do stuff like that every week because you didn't care. You could get he could get a personal foul for front flipping into the end zone because he just took a punt back 96 yards for a touchdown. Like, it's fine. I'll deal with it because he's doing it every week. But Deontay just, it depends on the caliber of player you are. It really does.
The only reason why AB got away with it was because they were winning.
Yeah.
If the Steelers weren't winning, there's no way it washed, and it shouldn't have washed to begin with. As far as okay.
Yeah. No, and I think, and I would say this. I would say this just last thing on Harrison. I wonder what everybody in the chat would say, and I would wonder what you would say. Was Harrison definitively a better career player in your mind than Joey Porter? Because, like, I don't know. I think Joey Porter probably, I think I just looked. He had 98 career sacks. I don't, and Joey Porter, he didn't make that single play in the Super Bowl that James Harrison did. But you could argue I don't know that
It's collective.
I don't know that I've ever seen a defensive player have more of an impact on a great player in a playoff game than Joey Porter did on Peyton Manning in that 2005 playoff game. Because that Joey Porter, people talk about Ben's tackle.
Those 3 sacks.
Yeah, Joey Porter won that game, okay? like let's be real. Joey Porter, and then that great coverage play Bryant McFadden had on Reggie Wayne. Obviously all the parts were needed, and Ben played well to get there, all this stuff, but Joey Porter, he was in Peyton Manning's pocket that day.
Those three sacks, man, that made the difference.
Yeah.
Man, because the one sack was it wasn't a safe, but it was close.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it was a field flipping it was a field play because they had to punt from real deep in their end zone. Right? And the other one definitely took him out of scoring range, his other sack that he had. Do you know what I mean? And so okay, so I look at him and Peasy about the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that Steelers team would have not have been the same if both of those guys were not on the team, or if only one of them was.
Right.
They needed each other.
Agreed.
In order to be the type of team that they were, in order to win those Super Bowls, they needed each other. So that's why I kind of put them in the same. I lump them as far as. I wouldn't necessarily put Pease a Hall of Famer neither.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So if I were to say gut instinct, as the famous 5-star sirens kick in,
second time now.
Those sirens are coming for they're coming for me after James Harrison hears me say he's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so loud.
He's driving it. He's driving the truck.
Yeah, that's true, Rabbit. Joey Porter did win the Cincinnati game even after he was retired, which was absolutely epic.
I'm with you on that.
He did. He had no business being out there. Like we all just were like, yeah, you can't push a coach. And then it's like, Joey Porter, he was talking like he was in the wrong. Like I kept. You can't push a coach. I get that, but he was a linebackers coach. He had no business being out there, and he was saying stuff. And like, good for him. They always catch the second one, but like, if I was a Bengals fan, I'd probably be pretty bitter about that too.
As y'all should be.
But yeah. So if I say to you, and I'll say to the people in the chat, if you were to rank the three of them, Greg Lloyd, Joey Porter, and James Harrison, how do you rank them?
Because, man, let me tell you something about 95.
He was really good.
Man, love me some Greg Lloyd. Yeah. Okay? He was one of my favorites. Him and Levon. Oh man! Oh, that was Blitzburgh, baby, right?
Yep.
I love me some Greg Lloyd. Oh man! Oh, Greg Lloyd, James Harrison.
Yeah, that's my instinct as well. The thing is, though, if you're like ranking career
and everything and all that, yeah, you'd have to go the other way. You'd have to put it to the top.
Yeah, because Greg Lloyd just, he didn't end up having the totality of stats. In my mind, I think of Greg Lloyd as being above those guys, but I think in total, I think I go actually the opposite. I think I go Harrison, Porter, Greg Lloyd, and even though the stats support Porter being the better, he had more sacks and everything. I just think he was. He had a better chance, to be fair. I mean, Harrison had a uphill battle to become a player in the NFL, whereas Peasy, if I'm not mistaken, was either a first or second round pick. I mean, he was a known commodity, right? So yeah, it's just a little different. Yeah. It's a little different. I would say though, at the end of the day, I think Harrison is the best of that bunch. But I also would say that I think number 90 is putting them all to shame right now.
Okay, so All right. Statistically, you would have to put Joey above.
Sure.
Would be the top. Okay. But as far as I'm concerned, if I'm starting off a team, the first thing I'm going to be picking is Greg Lloyd.
Fair enough.
Okay. Right. The next guy I'm picking is James Harrison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Now, it would be a luxury to have Joey Porter.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. It would be a luxury. Yeah, Joey Porter has the better. And I love me some Peasy, right? Look, I don't care what you or say. If you're a Steelers fan and you don't love Joey Porter, something's wrong.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. I love this question Dawson puts in the chat. If you're walking down a dark alley, who do you want on your side, Harrison, Lloyd, or Porter? And I'll say, I don't think you can lose with any of them. I mean, they're all going to handle it it's a rock, paper, scissors situation. They're all going to handle it differently. Because Porter, Joey Porter, probably the least physically imposing of the three, but verbally, the most imposing. Yeah. Although, to be honest, like, Joey would probably get you more into a fight, just the way he is. Like,
If you were walking down a dark alley, three guys were there.
I put it this way.
Joey Porter would be the one getting you into a fight.
I'll put it this way. This is how I would sum it up. I would say Joey Porter would instigate the fight. James Harrison would diffuse the fight, because all you'd have to do is look at him and you'd be like, I'm not fighting that guy. Like, and Greg Lloyd, it wouldn't, he would demolish the opposing guys immediately. It would be violent, but then you'd have to wait for the cops to show up, and it'd be a whole thing, and it'd be like worse than it's, you just be like, you'd be going to court every 6 months for the next 2 years. It would suck. No, Debo is the guy you want in that situation, because all you got to do is step up to that guy face to face, and you would have to be completely messed up to say, oh yeah, I'm going to fight this guy. No chance.
Even if they're much taller than Mr. Harrison, that's how I called him, Mr. Harrison. Even if you were taller than him and you looked down on his dome, and he would all the way up at you, he would just be like,
he would
just come halfway just to see you. I'd be like, all right, I'm out.
No, Debo was the man.
All day long, man. That. When that guy can pull 1,200 pounds on sled, okay, I want backing me up. Okay,
I hear that. Oh my boy. God. All right. Now that we have spent somehow half an hour talking about pass rushers from 20 years ago, because that's what you do when you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. You just sit around and go, hey, remember Clark Hagan's?
And shout out to, because then he just recently passed.
Oh, he did? Yeah, last year, I believe he passed away. Yeah, that's a shame.
So shout out to him. We do remember a lot of good plays that he made. You know what I mean? So
he was a great Robin to Debo's Batman, or Porter's Batman, and
we had a defense, man.
Oh man, that 2008 defense is crazy. Yeah.
Spectacular. I think that ranks up there as far as I learned. That's one of the best defenses. Like I would stack that up against.
That prime,
some of these defenses.
Are you kidding me? That we're never going to see anything like that again. You're talking about a defensive line with Casey Hampton, Aaron Smith, Brett Kiesel, and then on the edge you got James Harrison and Lamar Woodley. Okay, they're the columns etched out of marble. Woodley, when he came into the league, people clown on Woodley because he got injured and a little heavy after the contract. But man, when he was in his prime, those first couple years, I remember thinking, well, 56 is going to be the guy, dude. Like, he was a monster, and he would kill quarterbacks. I still miss watching Woodley. I feel the way that I've talked about Martavis Bryant being like the one that got away a little bit on offense, I feel that way about Woodley, man. I loved Woodley, and he still had a nice career. I mean, relative to the way everybody, if you're talking about everybody that makes the NFL, he had a good career, couple 10+ sack years, and got paid and all that. But ultimately, I think even he would tell you it probably didn't go as good as he, thought it would have. But
I'm with you.
But he was dynamic. I loved him.
So now it seems like Pittsburgh has done it again, where they've got two edge rushers that are quite the bookends, that are becoming quite the duo, and it's clearly a different situation when the offense has the ball for 39 minutes and your defense kicking back, and they only have to come out there for 41 plays.
Yeah.
As far as
a big difference.
That is the best defense, is to have your offense on the field. Because look, let's face it, playing offense is a heck of a lot easier than playing defense. Why is that, you think? Well, gosh, because on offense, you're already supposed to know where everybody's supposed to be, and and the defense has to guess, sort of. I mean, now that Mac's not around anymore, now. I said that at the very beginning of. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, you guys, we're so thankful for all you people here in the chat. We're so thankful for all the people that watch the show. But you really to hop on over to Patreon/5SMU and drop $4 a month, less than $50 a year. I mean, seriously, you can even get a coffee kind of money a month, and look at all this great content you get. You get awesome stuff from the man. You get to have private access. You can wake the man up if you want to, which I highly recommend.
Hey, you can ask. Wake him up. You can ask the people in there, man. I'll just randomly be texting about the Steelers at 1 a.m. some nights. Just be like, "Hey, you guys remember that time Lamar Woodley had that sack and blah?" Like, it's a lot of fun. I urge you. I just sent out a bunch of my famous 5-star envelopes today. Actually, I went to the post office.
Oh, it's not.
And
unfortunately, it didn't show up on the
It's
screen,
just a black envelope. You can't really see it, but I don't have a packed one in front of me. But they. I'll tell you this: the few people that have been waiting on envelopes that have recently signed up, I'll tell you that the envelopes weighed more. I had to go to the post office because they were too heavy for just a regular stamp. So you get a nice little gift. Somebody is getting a George Pickens jersey patch card. I don't know who, but there's one in there somewhere. So yeah, nice. I mean, patreon.com.
This is the kind of cool stuff. Yeah. This is the cool stuff you get when you go over to patreon.com/5SMU, sign up for $4 or $7 a month. Look at this now. This is extremely neat. It really helps the channel. It really helps to pay bills, because, look, this kind of great content costs money. You know what I mean? Talent costs money, graphics cost money, servers cost money, subscriptions cost money, all these things. Thank all you do and support, man. We couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you very much. Props and cheers, man. Props and cheers.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it is the lifeblood of this thing. I'm trying to build, it's, you guys have followed me now, a lot of you, for a long time. And, I've been trying to build this thing, using YouTube, using this, using that. And the reality is YouTube, as far as making money because of the nature of like the copyrighted content and stuff, it's made it too hard. But the reality is like building through Patreon, that's more consistent. I can rely on it more. I can build and grow with it more. So if you've been on the fence, I just can't, urge you enough. It really would be helpful to us and our team to get over there. We're getting up close to like almost 500 a month on there, which I think is pretty fantastic. Yeah, Kevin the Elder God.
Keep them rolling, guys. Keep them rolling.
Yeah, man. Kevin the Elder God wants me to do a jersey raffle at some point. Hey, I'll give stuff away. I just got to come up with how it makes sense for me to do it. I don't like to, I don't like to be one of these people that's out here like, oh, retweet and like to do that. Like, I don't like doing that. I like to organically grow and like, so I try not to do that too much, but maybe we'll think about it a little bit. Or maybe Kevin, I'll just send you a jersey because you're awesome. How about that? I'll just,
Well, hey, for that then, if you're sending out jerseys,
sign up.
Sign me up for
Sign
that.
up. Come one, come all. No, hey, listen.
There you go.
Listen, once I start, once I start making real, some decent money off of this, like that's the reality. I wish I could do more for you guys, but like it's just it doesn't make a lot of money. Like I'm just, I'm just being real. Like I'm doing this because I love that you guys love this show and I love my show. But I'm just trying to get people paid and keep it growing. I'm not, I'm not rolling in the dough from a 5-star matchup by any means.
But, I mean, it's all for the love. It's all for the love.
And I gotta say, another 20,000 views on this show this week. We are rolling in season 5, man. I gotta say, I think it's by far our best season yet. And I'm just so happy with the growth and everything. We're setting all kinds of records this year, and yeah, I just couldn't be more.
Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't good, but it just seems like when I said in the comment about your show, you have elevated to the stratosphere now. Okay, so so we've gone from 30,000 to like 75,000 feet. You see what I'm talking about? Right, yes. We're sphere now, right? We're touching the edge of space here, people. Look, it's a 5-star matchup because he's making it, because his team is putting it together. That's why it's a 5-star matchup, man. Come on.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so I mean, hey, listen, now that we have talked for an hour and a half and not really talked about the Arizona Cardinals a whole lot, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot to say.
I think
we did a little.
I think we did. We talked about the fact that we know that the Arizona Cardinals are going to come in here, and this needs to be a destruction team of the Cardinals. This to be a run up the field. I need to see, three or more touchdowns by the offense. And hey, if the defense wants to throw it up, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is just it's not a good team, statistically they're near the bottom of the league in almost everything defensively. And to me, this is, I'll say the same thing I said earlier, which is that like, this is to me a game where, the defense should be dominant and the defense should control things, but this is a game where you got to come out and you just got to put up some points and just, they're giving up so many yards on the ground, and the way the Steelers are moving it on the ground with this tandem backfield now, I just think you got to control the ball and win this game. And I think you got to win these next two, really. And we could be looking at a situation now, in 8 days, we could be looking at a team that is 9-4. If you just take care of business, you don't have to do anything other than take care of business and against two bad teams. And the Steelers could be 9-4, and then you go into the home stretch. 3 more games against Cincy, Seattle, and Baltimore. Yeah.
Which of those last 3 games, you should be 2-1 at the very least.
If that's what happens, if that's what happens, then you're looking at a team that could theoretically go, 4-1 would put them at.
4-2.
4-2. If they went 4-2, would be 6 losses, so that'd be 11-6. But I think, I mean, if you win these next 2, and then those last 3, if you went 2-1, that'd be 5-1 down the stretch. So that would actually be.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be 12 wins. That's there. Well, it's there.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is that you could do 11-6, I think, and still be there. I think 11-6 would be more than enough. It might not win you the division.
Right.
11-6, because you have to have some help in that. You win those last. You would need that win. The Cincinnati game. You'd also need to win that Baltimore game.
I
That's what I
think.
mean.
I listen.
And
I think if they're able to go into that Baltimore game at 11-5, I think they'll be playing for the division. I think that's the reality. I mean, Baltimore is going to lose a game eventually, and that's all you really need to have happen. They got 3 losses, and you already beat them.
but could it be like against Cleveland?
It doesn't even matter. Yeah, I mean that'd be fun, but like I don't even care. I mean,
Yeah.
Baltimore. Who's Baltimore got to play? You're gonna tell me that they haven't been unstoppable by any means. I mean,
No, but they don't exactly have a real hard schedule remaining, though.
are you sure about that? They play the Rams this week, and then they play Jacksonville, San Francisco, and Miami.
Oh, okay.
They're losing a game. They might lose
okay. I thought
2.
they were 2. Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize they were playing. Wait, they're playing.
They play the
So they're
Rams.
playing the 49ers.
They play the Rams out of the bye week, but then they play at Jacksonville, at San Francisco, and versus the Dolphins. They could definitely lose a game. They might lose 2.
Yeah, they might lose 2 out of those games. Yeah, being the Dolphins and or the 49ers, I can foresee.
I don't even know. I wonder what would happen. I'd have to extrapolate, but if they went in with I wonder what would happen if the Steelers went in with a game better record. I wonder if they would still need to win. It would depend on division record then, right?
Yeah. If they had one win more than the Ravens, it would all come down to who has division record.
Yeah.
Which is why I said Steelers would need to have to win Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Right.
That would give them 2 more divisions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It just depends on. I got to see what Baltimore's. I don't know if Baltimore. I don't know where their losses were. Yeah, Baltimore has 2 losses in the division. So there is a theoretical path, actually. Well,
For the Steelers division.
Yeah, well, there's a definite path for that. I'm saying
win those last games.
Oh yeah, no, if they take care of business and if they beat Baltimore, I think Kevin the Elder God is saying we would have clinched the week before the game. Yeah, I think that if we go, I mean, no doubt about it, if we go in with a game behind them but we win, assuming we don't lose to Cincinnati or whatever, we would win because we would have the head-to-head over them and the better division record. So that's no problem. But what I'm wondering is, hello. Hey, you there?
I am.
All right, I think we're back. Little hiccup. I don't know what's going on with Discord today, but we should be back.
Yeah, that's definitely a Discord.
Yeah. Just, whatever weird stuff today. Hey, don't know what's going on here, but I guess maybe we should just call it a day on 5-Star Radio.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, we appreciate
you. Telling us something here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's weird. My internet's not closing, but Discord is disconnecting. I don't know what's going on, but
because I'm not getting anything as far as like my levels are all good.
Oh yeah, no, all my internet looks normal too, but it is what it is. It happens. Yeah, it's Harrison cutting my internet, Kevin the Elder God says. All right, well,
sorry.
Well, anyway, before we get cut off again, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you hanging out. We hope you
thank you.
enjoyed. I hate to get out a little more abruptly than usual, but I hope y'all have a good night, and we'll catch you down the road on the next edition of 5-Star Radio. Adios.